Is my audio okay, Sharon?
A very good night to Babishans and this wonderful Saturday night. I hope that it is wonderful in Babis because I understand a lot of rain had fallen there over the couple days. Thanks for tuning in to Alliance on the Move. This is Kemraj Ramjatan, leader of the AFC. And of course, in tonight's program, we're going to talk quite a lot of issues that we understand the Barbicians are facing. And we have with us Dr. Vince Adams, we have Beverly Alert, and Basdeo, Region 6 Regional Councillor for the AFC. There are lots of things, as I indicated. There's tremendous problems at sugar, and only today we were talking to a set of sugar workers who have been making a lot of complaints as to how there has been ministerial interference. The sugar industry, that at least the sugar factory was supposed to have been closed a couple of days ago, and the minister instructed management to reopen it and to cut canes that are pretty bad on the cane fields. I would ask Basdeo to deal with that, but I wanted to talk about some very big developments at a national level. As you know, Barbicians, and probably you are preparing for it, local government elections were supposed to be held on March 2023. And of course, we had been warning them that the entire set of laws are being violated, and the entire regime of procedures and processes have been in violation, and that we are not going to participate in such a fraud. And of course, GCOM and the PPP, and especially Anil Nandalal, would not want to listen at all to what we were saying. They were saying that we are a small party and we don't matter. Well, we do matter. However small we are, 10%, whatever is the percentage that we have, 5 seats, 7 seats, it does matter because we have smart people in the Alliance for Change, as you know. And we got some real dunces inside of the PPP, if you didn't know. So it is important that we now have a scenario where a court action was brought to the extent that the entire thing is in violation of the Local Government Elections Act. There is a special law in our statute books that says how local government elections must be run. And from Section 8 of that law to Section 24 of that law, inclusive of all the other sections inside, none of those were being abided by the GCOM and the Minister of Local Government, who started demarcating boundaries. At a very important meeting, I think it was yesterday, we now understand that the demarcation should not have been done by the minister. We are also understanding too that that list that they have is not the proper list for a local government elections. And so by virtue of bringing that High Court action instituted by Mr. Roysdale Ford, Senior Counsel, at the behest of the deponent, Ms. Carol Joseph, it would seem now that GCOM officials realize the mess they're in, and they have called off the local government elections because there is an admission that so many violations of the law have occurred. And only recently they passed a law in which they indicated that if you violate any elections in Guyana, or any elections laws. You got to pay a $10 million fine and you're going to go to jail for 5 years. Well, we have threatened that indeed, if they bring an elections that is in violation of the law, we could bring criminal prosecutions against even the CEO and all of them who would conduct an elections illegally. So I want to bring to your attention now that apparently they, as we Barbicians would say, they catch themselves. And it would now mean that they are hands off from this scenario. And they're pleading that they would like to, hey,
there's Derek.
there is Derek.
Yay.
Derek
Yes,
Kalicharan.
I just got on.
I am so happy that you are here. Look, we were just talking about
Thank you.
politics, but I'm going to cut that now just to accommodate you and to bring your
Okay.
concerns.
Thank you. Thank you.
Derek, by the way, was my schoolmate for 5 years at JC Chandy Singh High School. And of course, so many of you would have known that he was one of our best leg spin bowler and batsman and all-rounder in the 80s. I am glad to have him on our show.
Thank you.
Because I want to bring out lots of the prominent Barbicians, whether they are in the diaspora or whether they are in Guyana, to talk about some of their concerns. I know Vince knows you very well. And I would, before you get to your concern, Derek, I would like Vince to say how well he knows you, because we got some members in our party do not believe that Vince Adams made 100 in the Shell Sheep Cup match.
Yeah, and if you're gonna ask Vince to say something about me, that shouldn't take that long.
Well, that is true.
No, I guess the Barbese folks ought to know that you came from an iconic family. I came along with Alvin. As a matter of fact, Alvin and I grew up in the cricket world together. When Alvin was the captain of the Barbese team, I was the captain of the Demerara team, the schoolboys. We played on the very first national youth team for Guyana. Together, the two of us played in that first national youth team. But Alvin and by the way, there's another brother by the name of Stanley who played in that team, probably one of the best wicket keepers that I've ever seen. And of course, he is the late Stanley, but he would have, definitely one of the best wicket keepers that I've seen in the West Indies in his young age. So it's a great iconic family in the cricketing world from Barbese. So yes, welcome, Derek, and
thank you. And I see you have my namesake there, Mr. Derek Basdeo.
Oh, that's correct. You know Derek Basdeo too. I look like he camera fall down as soon as you mention it.
Yeah, you notice, right?
Like he's hiding something.
No, don't say that.
Well, here, not to leave out Beverly Allard. That's another person that is on the show with us.
Hello.
I miss Beverly.
But I wanted
Beverly.
the first half an hour of this show, or thereabouts, to talk about some of the problems that you're having. First of all, let me tell Barbicians, this is an iconic family, the Kalicharans from Port Moran. They produced all the cricketers just mentioned by Vince. And what Derek has been proposing to see happen for that street inside of Port Moran there is that it be renamed or be given a name, because I don't think the street has a name. And we have been seeing that recognition for especially families or top-notch family names ought to be given in recognition of the families and so on. And he wanted it to be named after his father, and we are having some difficulties. You want to tell us anything about that there, Derek? You hearing me, Derek?
Yes, I should see Derek.
All right, well, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, like I said, thank you for having me on the program. And what we're trying to do is to honor my dad. And I've been asking for almost over a year now, starting with the Port Morant local office over there in Port Morant. We have written letters and gotten petitions. I've also managed to speak with Mr. R. Morgan, and that had came to a dead end, really. Every time I tried to call him after that, he would never answer his phone, or he's always out of town, he's busy. You can never get hold of him anymore. I'm gonna go forward a little bit.
Go right there, yeah.
I have managed to have gotten hold of, through a very good friend of mine, Mr. Nadir Mansour. He made some calls, he made some stuff happen. And again, that came to a dead end. It continued to where I called Mr. Dharamlal. I got a number to call him. And also text him. He has never answered my phone call, actually. I don't think that's the way to answer somebody, whether you know them, you don't know them, you like them, you don't like them. That is not the way to respond. At least give me a chance to explain why I called you or why I text you, something like that. Anyway, at the end of the day, as I'm talking to you now, we haven't gotten anywhere. All I'm getting is it cannot be done from the local authority, or we will try our best. You got to go here, there, and everywhere. Look, I'm not a politician. And I might be arrogant in saying this. It's nothing to do with PVP or PNC or Tom, Dick, and Harry. All I'm asking to honor my dad with the name Kalichuran, the Market Street where we live, that's the street we would like to have named in my father's name. I understand they don't want to do Isaac Kalichuran. Okay, fine. If you want to do Kalichuran Street, I'm okay with that as well. But somebody, and I'm sure, I guarantee you by now, Mr. Barajagdi is, I also reached out to him actually. I have his phone number, I call and I text, he hasn't responded. I am positive that Mr. Irfan Ali is aware of what I want, what I'm asking for. It's not what I want, what I'm asking for. I'm pleading with them because I want to honor the name. My dad did a lot for tea and settlement. At the end of the day, and like you guys said before, our family is well known. And this is not about me, it's not about my brother, it's about the family. And I just want the people in Berbice, especially Berbice, to understand what I'm asking. I'm not asking for much, you know. So that's my concern, that's my thing, why I'm on this program tonight.
Well, I'm so happy that you're very frank about the reason why you are here. And I knew of this for a couple of months now. And indeed, I myself tried getting on to the authorities in Berbice and Armagon, and quite frankly was told that, yes, we're going to try our best to get it done. It has not happened. And, you know, the recognition for families like yours is so paramount because you make citizenship in the sense, you know, people they feel good when they are honored, and family members feel good when they are honored, you know. So it is important. I don't know if you'd like to come in here, anyone, Vince?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's not a matter of
politics
of him, you know, like begging for something. I think it's just a matter of honor for the contribution of the family to the country. You know, I played at the Demerara Cricket Club, for example, in Queenstown. And if you walk around Queenstown, guess what the streets are named? Lance Gibbs and Clive Lloyd, and
Chandapal Drive.
Paul Drive is right up the road. So it's just a matter of honoring folks for their contribution to the nation, and in this case, it happened to be in sports. His dad has really produced a great crop of cricketers who've represented Guyana, and cricket has given Guyana a lot of value. Or the West Indies, as a matter of fact, it's probably the most well-known product that the entire world knows of about the entire West Indies. So I mean, without question, Kalicharan is the Kalicharan name is an iconic name in Belize that I can't see any reason why we would just jump on the opportunity to provide that honor to the family.
Bev, you would like to come in here because I no, please.
Okay, first off, I'm no cricket fan, but let me say this. Growing up, the name Kalicharan was a household name for all Guyanese. And as a country, we have not done very well, I think, at honoring our heroes. We still have Stabrook. We still have Bordeaux. We still have Cummings Lodge, where we are a nation with a plethora of, iconic personalities, iconic families. If we are to break away from this colonial mentality, why not look to our heroes? And that, I think, would encourage our young people to delve more into their history. The name Kalicharan is not at present associated with cricket. But if you name a street, a building, a park, something, give it the name Kalicharan, then it would encourage young people to find out who is Kalicharan. And therein they would start building pride in things Guyana, in things Guyanese. So I think it's not only about Kalicharan. It's not only about
You're breaking up.
Contributions to this country, that we can respect them and honor them and basically put them there for posterity so that generations to come would want to know who are these people, why they have a place named after them, why they have a park or a street or something named after them.
Yeah.
No, that's very important what you just said there, Beverly.
Yep.
And the honoring of our heroes for purposes of historic value is important, because it is quite true. You go around the place now, a lot of youngsters, my children, I got a son that played cricket and he does his reading and all that. He would know. But a lot of the boys at Gandhi Youth Club, when I was vice president there, they hardly know, because the generation was that of the 80s and the 90s, and these fellas were born after 2000. But Basdeo, you happen to know Derek too. Say a couple of words on what you feel about this.
Being born and grew up in Albion, and there was a lot of competition between Port Morant and Albion at some time. The Giant Cricket Club, Albion Sport Complex against Port Morant. They were lovely games to view. I must say, Mr. Derek Kalicharan, nice seeing you here on TV after such a long time. I think then the last time we spoke was under some real estate contracts. We worked in Richmond Hill for quite a long time as real estate brokers, and it's a pleasure seeing you. I must say that I know all the brothers, from Stanley to Alvin to Wishart to Derek here, most of his elder sisters up to Mavis. We had good times together in the teenage days. I used to go by their house. I want to be brief because of quite a few of us here. If there's no Market Street there and the Kalicharan legacy still lives on, right? You get your nephews and everybody still plays right? Mahendra and the other youngster,
Vishal,
name the
Vishal.
place Kalicharan Street, and then, this man thing was brought up briefly and was knocked down, as Derek Kalicharan said, at the RDC level, where I'm a councillor there. And without fear of fear, I say it loud and clear, that street should be named Alvin Kalicharan Street, as Derek is requesting. Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks, I
but,
didn't
but,
realize
but
that.
Basil, you must be just, you should just go and watch them play, because you don't look like if you ever play anything.
No. Yeah, you see, I was caught up with Derek, older brother Wisha, just before him. So I had no space. And then Derek came up and knocked me out completely. Right. But one thing, my dad, who was a headmaster, was the captain for this Dobson Cup. There's some cup, the Berbice against Demerara. I think Demerara was represented by Malkat or something like that. And my dad, Basdeo, was the captain for I don't remember the cup name.
Jones Cup.
Jones Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, Jones Cup.
All right. Well, here, I let me butt in here.
Derek and I go back along.
Yeah.
Now,
Very long.
Derek, I want to assure you that I am going to take up this matter with the minister, and I'm also going to take it up, even if it means at the highest of level with Mr. Irfan Ali. I certainly will do that. In matters like these, if we want to make one Guyana, as the president has been talking, then it is important that we honor our heroes. And you have a whole family, a generation of heroes. And it is something that I'm certain that the Barbicians will support. And if it comes to that, we can probably get some more petitioners signing a petition, especially from Port Morant and Albion. And I can go to my village too, 47 Village,
Yes.
to ensure that this happens. So it is very, very vital. I noticed that he jumped out there. Any reason for that, Sharon? So thanks very much for having Derek Kalicharan as happily and fortunately a guest in our AFC program, and for telling us what he has been going through just for the sake of getting the honor done to his dad, first of all, and then to the family, and that not happening. I mean, that is uncouth treatment to the Kalicharans. I happen to know almost all of them. And I remember when my friend died, Lionel Peters, I went to the funeral in New York and I met Alvin, who had come in for the funeral and so on. So, as I indicated to him, we in the Alliance for Change, and I personally, am going to take this matter up, and I'm very glad that he came on stream. He's having some technical difficulties. I know he was driving to some family residence in New York there. Derek, we missed you there just now, but I'm trying to bring this first half an hour to an end by saying that we are certainly, and I personally will make every effort to go to the highest office, namely the president, to ensure that this thing
And
happens.
I do appreciate everyone there, for their views and support. I'm all the way out here, and I can only ask you guys, like Derek and Prack,
Mhm.
Ms. Beverly, I don't really.
Yeah. It looks like we are breaking up there, Derek.
Yeah.
We got your. We
Vince,
got your. Yes.
I can
Vince,
only
yeah.
ask you guys for some help. If I can, at this point, as I'm talking to you, I kind of gave up on it. But if it can still happen, then, again, I in my pocket and send some to the politicians, but I don't. I can't. That might speed it up a little bit. But unfortunately, I'm not that guy. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on our program. We are very honored to have you, Derek. And and I am so very happy. Thanks very much, and we will continue with our hardcore politics, but make sure you are assured that we are going to fight this cause for the Kalicharan's name to be honored via a street being named after the Kalichurans in Port Moran. Thank you so much, and a very good night to you, Derek.
Take care, Derek.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you see what's going on there, Barbicians. I mean, look, if the man went to the NDC, the man went to RDC and right up to Armagon, Minister Dharamlal, the President, Bharat Jagdeo, what more could you do when you want your desires for having your family name after a street after you would have made West Indies, cricket, West Indies team? It's a shame. And I'm going to publicly state it here that if I got to get a couple thousand signatories to sign up a petition, we're going to do it to ensure that that we get Derek desire. This next generation, like of which Derek is, and all the hard work his father did. His father was one of the best groundsmen in that Port Moran cricket ground. And, he was also kind of a coach for a lot of the youngsters around the place. And, of course, with all that they have done, man, this thing should have been like already done since he made the request. But, Barbicians, we're going to come back again to, I noticed Beverly is also having some difficulties. But we're going back now to talking about that, what has happened now with local government elections. The thing has been halted, and we don't know when again we might be having it. But the March 2023 local government is off. As I said, this litigation will have to be heard. They wanted to correct that list. They wanted to correct the local government list that they have by using the general elections list. You can't do that. That is illegal. And also, the Minister Dharamlal does not have the legal authority, in our opinion, and we now understand that might be also a decision of the commission, that he can't demarcate the boundaries. Like that NDC in Port Moran there. They can't. The NDC from 52 to 74, well, it's split up that further. And I think they make 2 NDCs. And then the municipality in Skeldon. The boundaries of these things must be known, because within the boundaries, you have to get the residents who are going to vote for you and also the candidates. All of that was not done properly. And then they gone and said that they got a date for the putting in of the symbol, a date for nomination, and now they got called back all. They're pretty embarrassed. And we were warning them. That is one of the reasons the AFC said that it will not go to the elections. And so I just want to bring that to your attention, because I know that a lot of people don't understand what might be happening. And of course, you will have Mr. Anil Nandalal talking plenty, how there is no residency requirement and all of that. Well, I want to tell Barbicians, you remember in 1990, when Desmond Hite, they put up a list of voters, Cherry Jagan and Janet Jagan and Gail Teixeira and Clement Rohi and Feroz Mohammed, all of them said that that list is bloated by 89,000 names that are not living in Guyana. You remember? And Cherry Jagan said you want a brand new house-to-house registration to fix the list, because plenty people, he felt, could impersonate those who are from overseas and who wouldn't come to vote. They're going to impersonate them, and they could rig the elections. And indeed, we had a very ugly period of fraudulent elections and so on in Guyana. And Cherry Jagan tell the Carter Center, please, we got to get a brand new list to take out all these 89,000 people who not there Guyana anymore. And Desmond Height, decent man he was at that time, they used to call him Desmond Prasad, some of the members and so on. He then went and do a brand new list. And he took out all of the names, dead people name, people who living overseas and so on, and he took out all the names. And it's only people who living in Guyana name on the list. Today, that was done because in the law, there is something called a residency requirement. Every voter in Guyana has to have a residence where they're living permanently or where they sleep nighttime. The law says so. Resident means where you're sleeping nighttime. All of that the law got. Them not going to fix up a list with that. As a matter of fact, the PPP last week passed a law deleting the residency requirement from our elections laws. A shameless thing. So what Jagan and Janet been a fight for? The PPP now delete from our law books. Because this list that they got 200,000 people who they're from America, Antigua, Barbados, all over the place. Saudi Arabia, here they got Guyanese and so on. All of them names still up on the list. It is a shame that these people now want that big bloat, 200,000, which is more than 113,000 from the 87,000 that we had in 1992. And they want to say that is a good list. Well, you know what the recount find out? The recount show that 4,229 people voted at the last elections who were not here in Guyana. Oh yes, it was an ugly elections. They got big problems about it. But thank God we did a recount. And in the recount, it showed that 4,228 people who were on the list but were regarded as being overseas and never come back to Guyana, them vote. What happened there? It is obvious that there was impersonation. People use ID cards for other people and names, and they went in and they vote. And that is what we found. So we cannot have a list that got so much bloat, and we must not be persuaded by the argument of people like Anil Nandalal and all of them, Gail Teixeira and so on, because they are upturning. They must see cause Cherry and Janet for turning their grave they know. That is what they would be doing. Because them people fight for a pure list, a list that ain't got non-residents. If we are not disenfranchising non-residents, but when the qualifying date comes, you got to fly in, register, and then you can come to vote at the next elections. We are not disenfranchising you, but we want a pure list made up of not so much bloat. And this is the important thing now. So all of them, what I'm going to talk about democracy, or they fight for democracy. Today we got in Guyana, the PPP fighting to have fraud and impersonations and to rig it. And I want to bring that to your attention. The residency requirement is there in our law, and in some of the laws the other day, the PPP deleted. You know what they put? They take out the word resident and they put with an address inside of the local area. So anybody could go and say, well, I live in Del Street. It's a shame what the PPP is doing. And all of them big PPP man from Borbis there, they must understand what the PPP is doing, because they are muddled, a kind of a confuffled by all of this talk about what the Constitution says and the Constitution ain't say. And we are saying that even if you feel that the Constitution doesn't have the requirement, we are saying that the Constitution got it. Well, if you feel that the Constitution doesn't have it, then pass a law to make it very explicit. Just like what we did in 1992. What Desmond Height did. He said house-to-house registration. Well, house-to-house is the best way to know where you reside before you can turn voter. Prohibitions, if that doesn't happen, half this country will feel that they're getting robbed with the elections because of impersonation. You remember in region, I think it's region 8, 2 votes we won by. It came so narrow. What do you think the PPP want them impersonation for? For them close elections, they could go and do all kinds of mannishness and get a couple hundred votes and win that region. And that is the nasty thing about it today. They are now setting the foundation for some very fraudulent and thieving and rigging and so on in future elections. That will have to be countered. And as I am saying, if half the population feels that you're thieving the elections, you're going to get civil strife in Guyana. It's going to be very dangerous times. And I want to urge Barbicians, because you know the system. It should not be like that. Those are some of the points I wish to make in relation to the local government elections and the laws now that the PPP have changed to take out the residency requirement for you to be a voter. We are carrying the matter to the court, and I think we have every basis for winning it. But that is speaking quite a long time in relation to that. I'm glad that we had Derek here too. But I also want Vince Adams to come in for an issue in relation to what Exxon has done recently. Vince?
Hey, thanks, Kemraj, and good night to all of our Bobby's friends. I know that most of you have been seeing some billboards that are nice, fancy billboards going up all across the country. I would call them sleazy billboards because that's exactly what they are. It's a propaganda, which is kind of shocking. We welcome it with open arms, as you folks know that when the coalition was in power, we welcome it with open arms, investors, including Exxon. But I think Exxon now has gone to the point, gotten into the gutters where they're engaged in this propaganda, and they're basically it's disrespecting all Guyanese, and it's an attempt to mislead and to silence all Guyanese because we're raising concerns about the unfair sharing of the revenues that come in, and so they're trying to bamboozle, and it's an attack on our psyche, basically, to fool people as to what these billboards are saying. It's just as if in the old days when we were colonized, when our masters come in and they say, they tell us we just gotta accept whatever it is and be quiet and shut up and accept the little pittances that we get and be satisfied. But the thing is, they believe that we're stupid, and I know none of us are stupid. So just ignore those boards. Here, and if you get an opportunity, let them tell you the truth. We don't have any problems with billboards, but let them be honest and tell us the truth. First of all, the billboards that they're putting up, this thing about we getting 52%, it's absolutely misleading. Folks, believe me, take it to the bank. We're getting 14.5%, not 52% that it appears to be, okay? 14.5%, which means that our companies are getting 6 times what we're getting. We're getting 14.5%. They're getting 85.5%. It's like almost 6 times the amount that we're getting. So don't let those numbers fool you. So let them put that on the billboard. That's a fact. Let them put that as a truth on the billboard. The other thing is, even with this 40%, we're hoping someday that we're gonna pay off all the debts and we're gonna get more than that. Trust me, because of how things are structured. There's no ring fencing, which means that they can go out and spend money at will, and there's no auditing. This government, they claim that they were auditing. There's no audit. Exxon has a free way right now with an open checkbook to spend as much as they want. And the only time we have no input. No input. It's like somebody coming in and just asking you for money every day. You're not even seeing where the money is being spent. They spend it until we get the bills to be paid. But if they're going to be putting up billboards, here are some of the things that I would like for them to see on the billboard. First of all, it's just what I said there, is that it's not 14.5, it's not 52%. It's 14.5%. And that translates to 6 times what we're getting. I want them to put on the billboard also what that 75, the way we get that 14% is this 75%, which is supposed to be costing the cost of operating. And then it's split. The 25% after that is split in half. Let them disclose exactly what it's actually costing us. Don't be fooled. It's not costing you 75%. 75% is only a cap so that we can get that minimum amount, which is the 12.5 or 14.5%. It's probably costing us 90%. Who knows? Let them disclose to us on a monthly basis, because that's where the accounting is done. Is it costing us 90%? And folks, here's why that is very important. Don't be carried away with 75% and we get all the profit. What is happening, anything over that 75%, let's say it's 90%, that's 15% is carried over into the next month. So every month they can charge us whatever they feel like charging, because we have no mechanism of auditing, and it's adding up. So we will never be able to pay off all of this cost. It's just piling up. We've got to pay interest in it. Of course, without ring fencing, where they're going out and with all these projects. But that's an important point that I would like for folks to take away, because somehow they believe in 75%. Let them disclose every month how much is it actually costing. It's like you going to the supermarket and trusting. You every week you go, you get goods. It costs you $1,000. However, all you're paying every week is $500. Well, guess what? That $5 extra, it just keeps piling up. It's like the same thing with a credit card. You go, you pay a little bit every month, but it's piling up. You pay interest in it and everything. So don't let them fool you. The other thing that they need to put on a billboard, I ain't seen no billboard that says that they're violating our laws by not having the parent company guarantee for liability to cover any spill that occurs in offshore. They've signed up to it. It's in the permit. It's a legal requirement. And yet they have not satisfied that legal requirement, but still operating. It's illegal. Let them put that on the billboard, that they're doing that. And the consequences too, that if you have a spill, it's going to wash away the entire Caribbean. Trust me. A major spill like the one we had in the Gulf, wash away the entire Caribbean, bankrupt everybody, bankrupt Guyana. All is going to be shut down. Let them put that on a billboard. And let them put on the billboard that they're violating the law by exceeding the safe operating limit because of greed, which increases the risk of a spill. So on the front side, they're increasing the risk of a spill. On the back side, if a spill occurs, there's nothing to cover it. Let them put that on a billboard. If they want to put stuff on a billboard, let them talk about the dumping of the water that they're producing into the pristine ocean, instead of following the internationally recognized standards of re-injecting it back into the reservoir. But the reason why they're not re-injecting it, they said that the equipment is going to cost them $300 million. Are they saying that Guyanese lives, they're making hundreds of billions, by the way, are they saying that we are not worth 300 million? Let them put that on the billboard. Let them put on the billboard the truth that they're flaring a whole bunch of gas, and they're not even reporting what they're flaring. Let them put in the billboard. They're hiding that data. There was a big hoopla after some pressure from the public for them to publish all the production data and everything else. So the minister got out there and the vice president got out, oh, we've got a website. Well, guess what? The one data, what you see on the website is all production and all this stuff. The one piece of data that is missing from that website since July, guess what it is? The flaring data. What are they hiding? What are they hiding? Let them put on the website that they're hiding all of Exxon's files at the EPA. There's a filing room that is supposed to have everybody's file. Exxon file is locked up in the executive director's office. Nobody can touch it. And let them say on the billboard that their justification for flaring is that because we are a pristine environment. So we could afford to dirty our environment. We've got capacity to do. Let them put that. They've put that in writing as their justification. Let them put on the billboard how grateful they are to Guyana for saving Exxon financially. Exxon was in an economic crisis. They were kicked off of the Dow Jones industrial averages. When they were in financial ruin, they were just getting rid of people, and it was Guyana that saved them. And that's so, and let them put on the billboard what the youths are going to be inheriting with the reckless destruction of the environment through flaring and through dumping of the water. Unlike the PPP, why we're doing this, unlike the PPP, the AFC and you will never stand by, watching the invasion of our sovereignty and dignity and propagandist attacks on our psyche with the defacing of our exquisite landscape by these billboards. We will never sit by idly like the PPP. Currently, as a matter of fact, the PPP, they're emboldening them to destroy our environment and to violate the laws. So, thank you and hope that you pay attention and just ignore those billboards and push back on them and because it's just atrocious and it's an impasse to the people of Guyana.
Thanks very much for that, Vince. And I hope Berbice pays attention to that, because there is a complicity now in relation to our laws, in relation to environmental systems and rules. There is a complicity. That same water that they throw into the ocean can affect fishing.
Yep.
And we are supposed to get a report as to that. That is why fishermen having so much problem. And then the flaring of burning that gas creates a lot more emissions into the atmosphere. And we have signed on to the Paris Agreement and so on, that within a certain time, we will bring a halt. Now, indeed, we are a very low emitter, but still, we should maintain it by ensuring that Exxon do not flare when they could buy the equipment. It's about $300 million. And it will also avoid the kind of things that Vince has been speaking about. So if you're making so much of billions of dollars every year profit for the sake of Guyanese lives and livelihoods, a $300 million piece of equipment you can't buy? Well, that is the complicity.
Kamad, let me address that. In the past administration, we forced them. They had agreed to install the equipment.
That's right.
We forced them. We had meetings with them, and it's not the EPA, the GGMC, the Department of Energy. We had a meeting with them. It's in writing that directed them that thou shalt not flare. They agreed. We directed them that thou shalt not dump any water in the ocean. You have to re-inject it. And as soon as I departed in August, they overturned everything. As a matter of fact, we told them we're not going to be signing off on the permits and the plan unless they do that. We met with them, and as soon as I left, they threw that out of the window. So it is about the PPPC government, because we in the coalition had those direction and instructions. And let me tell folks this. You might hear about flaring and you might think about it just stuff going up in the sky. In addition to it affecting your health problems, especially if you got respiratory disease, that's a minor part of it, to be honest, because when it goes up into the air, it forms what is called acid rain. So when it falls down back, it falls back as an acid. So when you see that rain coming down, and that acid gets into your ocean, which means it destroys the fish, it destroys all the other living
algae and
organisms.
so on.
It falls on your farms. Many of you farm in the Berbice area. That's probably the breadbasket of Guyana. It falls down. It destroys your crops. The water that is being dumped over the life of the water has oil in it. It has radioactivity in it. It has toxic chemicals in it. It's hot. That water is almost 3 times the current temperature of the ocean. And the water has oil. And if you add up all the oil that is being dumped over the life of it, adds up to hundreds of thousands of barrels of pure oil that will be in the ocean to destroy everything. So it's not a matter of just, well, okay, we can live with it. That's not the case. And your future generations of your kids and grandkids, they're going to be the ones that are going to be suffering after Exxon is gone, which might be only about 20 to 25 years from now. So they really don't care. They're here to make as much money as possible, and we're going to be the ones who will have to live with it. So you've got the power to stop it. And like
That's
I
right.
said, the coalition had stopped it to protect
That's
it.
correct.
And this government has just opened the door wide open. They're allowing them to violate the laws, to do whatever the heck they want to do. That's what's happening. That's a fact.
They're partners in crime now.
They need to put that and those things on the billboard. That's what we want to see on the billboard.
That's right. That's right. But they want to fool and muddle our heads and confuffle us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, Basdeo, I know that time is going. We got about 10 minutes more. I want you to tell us about what's happening at the Albion Sugar Factory there. I thought that they could close down for the Christmas holidays and so on, but I understand that a number of things are happening. They need about 30 tons of cane now to make 1 ton of sugar. What's happening?
And this is recent, Mr. Kem. Viewers out there, it's a pleasure to be here and with learned individuals, Dr. Vince Adam and Mr. Kemraj. And the culture and story. Dr. Vince is like holding a transistor radio to your ears with memories in the days of cricket. But my viewers out there, brothers and sisters, and I always represent without fear or favor at the RDC level that I am representing from Mara to Molson Creek, Oriala, Suputa included. There's a bunch I could deal with today with farmers, bringing out their produce from the back dam to the roadside. It's very terrible at this rainy weather. But as Mr. Kemmer has asked for me to enlighten you guys there about the Guyana Gaisuko, right? For 2 years, I requested Gaisuko representative to come to the RDC in the boardroom where the NDI and other companies come and represent themselves and shows transparency. Gaisuko, after 2 years, they come like September this year. And they showed up, my manager showed up, they gave their report, nothing more, they start give back papers serving the RDC chairman, and he read it out to us with the production there. No transparency in detail, so you can question anything. But as of today, right, 39.16 ton of cane, the cane cutters got to cut to make 1 ton of sugar. We all know that the Enmore promise that they gave with the packaging facility, it's moved to Albion. There is no transparency. I asked a question specifically to the Albion manager. What's the ratio? How much to produce sugar? How much sugar is selling for? Nothing. Zero, he could have replied, right? We got right here on the road, my viewers out there, brothers and sisters, Roy Hanuman, I'm calling his name. He's a member on the board, Gaisuko board. His cane is 20 years old, what they call ratoon. The cane cutters would know the word I'm using here. 20 years, fine cane. Look how much they got to work. Imagine it is rainy season. The chief industrial relations officer, Mr. James Sukai, they had a deliberation with the Gaisuko representatives Wednesday gone. And he said, the crop is over and done with. Minutes after my minister said, continue, disregard that information, continue. Up to today, although rain is falling, cane cutters are working in that field. Imagine lifting all these bundles of cane to make that kind of tonnage, right? They're going home 7 days a week. Up to today, I spoke to a gentleman, right? And he said he's going to be coming on the program pretty soon too. And he said $20,000 to $25,000, 7 days a week, right? It's a situation, Mr. Raj, with contractors versus cane harvesters. You think they're going to want to spend time in the field cutting cane? No way they're going to want to come out and the story with Bilawe money in Region 6. Money is given away. It's gimme, gimme, gimme. It's everywhere you go. People wanted more. They got a 40 days, a 10 days a week, $40,000. People are looking into these things. Is they getting easy money? And I go to various sites, travel from length and breadth of Berbice here most of the time. When I go to the RDC to do my presentation, I go with facts. The contractors working on the street using profanities, inadequate, and Mr. Chairman David Armugan said it, inadequate crush and run. He really observed what the challenges I was giving him, because the Works Committee Chairman Zamal Hussein said to me in the Works Committee, because I'm part member of that committee, also the Agriculture Committee, right? And I tell them plain and straight, it's economics, price, supply, and demand. If there's not demand, stop the work. Get adequate amount of crush and run, especially to go on the street. Some of the streets in Albion, they finished last week and the other week before. 2 weeks, I'm not lying. The people in Albion can testify in Chesney. The asphalt is breaking apart right now. Up to this afternoon, I drove there. It's breaking apart. The connection from the concrete coming to the main asphalt, number 4 dam, they call it. Something I budgeted for in 2021. Number 4 dam going to the Coca to access to the fishermen who are very happy. But they're complaining about the streets. It's not going to last. And believe me, the same street's going to give back again to their friends and family and favorites to fix. Seriously, Mr. Kemraj, I know we are very much pressed for time. I could go on and on with the farmers. At Portman Market this morning, right? A husband and wife, almost a lady in tears, 4 nights a week, she got to sleep there from Wednesday night to last night. She got to sleep there, including Tuesday night sometimes, because they wholesale on Tuesday night. They got to spend hours there. She and her husband got to interchange and relieve each other to go take a shower and come back home, because they're got to stay there because there's no security, right? Leave out for 4 days. The businesses are closed down. The gas station is closed down for urine and otherwise, right? Everybody used the Portland Market in the back for 3 days to urinate and everything else. And then the Saturday morning, they got to spread a sheet there to sell fish and all the vegetables. Excuse me. Yeah, that's not fair for these people. Make the facility better, right? You know, it's too much money given out, and they're not doing the right thing for the people. The owners of these malls and these stalls have to be treated better. You go
I
to
agree with
Portland.
you. I agree with you here. I got a note that the time is coming shortly.
Right.
But I also want to make this point about the sugar. Somehow, the Gaisuko people are saying that they're selling the sugar and they get a good price, 25 cents US a pound. And
At $200
we
in the store.
Guyana got to pay $200 a pound.
Yes.
What kind of business we drive in? We giving it overseas for 25 cents. How much is a US? A US is almost $200. So we give it 25 cents.
Yeah.
That's like $50. And we now got to buy sugar in Guyana. And look, Barbicians, you got to understand that that CEO that they put there and know nothing about sugar. As I said, the only thing he knew about sugar was how to eat it.
Well, you know what flour, right?
And that is what we're getting. And the PPP, very foolishly, are just pouring more monies. We had a whole set of money that they poured in $9 billion at the budget. Then they produced another $3 billion at the first financial paper. And they now gone and put about another $1 billion into sugar. That alone for this year is about 13, 9, 3, and 1. That's $13 billion. Now, I understand they're selling lands too to private people. I hear people, businessmen here in Georgetown, gone and buy out a whole set of land at Ogle and so on. There's a couple of $1 billion that Gaisuko would have gotten with all this money. And you're still suffering your sugar workers. Man, the thing is really rotten, and they have not gotten a handle on it. And we got to ensure that we tell the Barbicians about what's happening. And they're working the people like slave at the back down there. I understand the rain falling, it's slippery, they're falling down, they got broke their back. All kind of things happening to the workers. And they will want to say Gaisuko and so on, Gau, how they're representing workers. Well, a lot of workers are very vexed. And that is why they had to put out like somewhere recently that they want 1,000 workers. Gau used to come out with a newspaper, Combat, I think its name. I hope they're going to write all of these things inside Combat and be a little combative with Mr. Jagdeo and them Jagabats they got running the PPP there now. I hope so. But I just got another call that the time is up. It's 5 minutes after. Any final words from you, Vince?
No, I just let I'm pleading with the people there, the only ones with the power, to make sure that the politicians are held accountable. To make sure that everybody follows the law. If you or I goes break a traffic sign, we stop and we probably put in jail. I see they're hauling everybody to jail. You cannot do that. But you have these foreign companies, they come in and it's more egregious because what they're doing, breaking the laws that is affecting everybody's health, safety, and the environment. However, they're allowed to get away. Not only are they allowed to get away with it, they're being encouraged and emboldened to get the true breed to get away with it. So get involved, and hold them accountable. That's all we can have. We're here to give them the facts, and they need to ask the right questions and hold the government accountable.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, Barbicians. I want Barbicians to one final point. Studio, please hold me. One final point, and that is just like what Derek Kalichiran did here today. Come forward. I want you, Barbicians, to be brave. It is not as if this is exclusively political, but there are people who have so much grievances in Barbies. But somehow I find that they're scared. We went to Skeldon and we put the thing with the official lady and she spoke her mind about how that market is being run. We want more people to come forward like you. You can contact Basdeum or myself or any one of the AFC representative of Barbies, and we're certainly going to put you on. Just, be brave, be frank, and come and talk your story. Thank you very much, and have a good night, viewers. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And a very good night.
Thank you.